I'm Kelly O'Connor with Financial Caffeine. I want to chat with you today about rate of return. Most people think that the insurance policy's rate of return is just so appalling, but believe it or not, it's irrelevant. Okay, so now why in the world would I say that the rate of return on a policy is irrelevant? Well, it's really simple. I believe if we just stay solely focused on the investment rate of return, we're putting our trust in something else, and somebody else probably, and we lose sight of what's most important. So let me show you what I mean. So as we've discussed already, we've got three phases. We've got the accumulation, which is climbing up the mountain. We've got whatever it is when we finally retire, whatever that looks like, when we're finally deciding that we're going to use our money and we're going to descend the mountain and we're beginning our distribution phase. Now, traditional planning, as I said, both starts and stops right here on accumulation and getting to the top. But what we must have in mind is the effect of coming down the mountain once we have all of our assets. And there's a lot of factors that go into this. All right, so let's look at two of these factors. The safe withdrawal rate. Now, there's something back in the 80s when everything was going nuts that started in the financial world called the 4% rule. So what that means is if you have $1 million worth of an asset, a retirement asset, you can safely withdraw $40,000 per year and ensure you never run out of money. Now, the 4% rule, it's considered way too aggressive now. You can Google it. There's been articles that say the 4% rule doesn't apply anymore. Most advisors use about a 2.5% to a 3% distribution rate, which means if you have $1 million, then you can safely kick off about $25,000 to $30,000 per year in any other kind of standard investment, right? So what does this mean you have to pursue if you want to get a higher income? Well, it means you have to pursue risk in order to get a higher rate of return, because after all, if you're wanting 60 grand, you need to end up with 2 million, not 1 million. So see, this is where the risk comes into play. So let's now take a look at the safe withdrawal rate from insurance. You can typically leverage about 6% of the value out of your insurance policy. Now, why is that? Well, if you recall, if this is your insurance bucket, it's a collateral spin down. You're collateralizing it. You're leveraging it. You're not depleting it. You see, if this was the $1 million investment and you were to take money off of it, well, its value is a little bit less. So see, any earnings from that are affected. If you do it the next year, same thing. The value of this thing is less. So it's a depleting strategy instead of a leveraging strategy. You see, this whole thing continues to earn as we leverage it. So a collateral strategy makes this corridor last longer, and you can get more money out of it over a longer period of time. So that's why the distribution rate, the safe withdrawal rate, is typically double. However, it's even more impactful because this is fully tax exempt. You see, in the investment, it's taxable. So in reality, you've got to be taking more out of that investment to get the same spendable income as you do in this thing out of the insurance. So here's what we look at. When we have a safe withdrawal rate improvement because we're collateralizing our spend down, not depleting it, then what I want to do with every single comparison, meaning we run a comparison, is if you continue to fund your money with your new money, continue to fund into those accounts that are investment-based risk, I want to run what's called, what I refer to as a capital equivalent value. Equivalent value. What I refer to as just a CEV. And I want to show the full effect of funding into that investment and then depleting it for income, and making that income the same, so having a tax variable, having the means testing on the Social Security component in there, and what would it take for the investment to equal the tax exempt spin down, the collateral spin down with the insurance policy that doesn't means test your Social Security and has no taxes on it. So this capital equivalent value regularly comes out to be about 9 to 12% after fees. Meaning your new money has to funnel into that your investment account, and it has to perform 9 to 12% every year without ever incurring a loss after fees to compete against the distribution of the insurance policy. So here's why I say it's irrelevant. Of course we want a return. We don't want our money doing nothing. It's not irrelevant from that standpoint. But if my mountain simply looks like this, and I have this little insurance policy with, let's say, $1 million, and your mountain looks like this, and you have $2 million, then it looks like on paper you whooped me. It looks like you smoked me. Like, see, that's why I didn't do insurance. But you see, what I get is I get a $60,000 per year spendable cash flow. My means test, my Social Security is not means tested, so no means testing on my Social Security. And over here, what you get is $60,000 because it's about a 3% distribution. It's taxed, so you don't equal my $60,000 spendable, and it's means tested, so you're going to get a reduction in your Social Security benefit. So what does that mean? Well, in order to compete with me, even though you doubled me in performance, maybe you have to pull out $80,000 or 75, let's say for simple drawing here, 80 grand. Well, now that distribution rate now puts you at 4%, which all the experts are saying is too risky. So you see, you don't need 2 million. You might need 3 million to compete against me. Now, this doesn't even take into account the second component, which is our ability to use the money along the way to improve our returns. So let me show you what I mean. Obviously, as we are accumulating money up towards wherever we eventually are going to retire and begin to use the money coming down, any opportunities we get to increase our rate of return along the way is beneficial. Now let me show you what we did personally, my business partner, a former business partner, and I, what we did to get an 11% return by leveraging an expense, an 18-month lease. So we were moving into a new office. It was a Class A space for us outside of Denver. And what we decided to do was negotiate with them. And we asked, hey, if we were to pay you 15 months up front, cover our entire lease up front, would you give us the 18-month lease? Now keep in mind, these landlords in these buildings, they don't get people that are in businesses and small businesses that are paying their entire lease up front. They were more than happy to negotiate with us, but what they countered with was 16 months and then a whole bunch of other goodies. So they loved us during this 18th month period. Now, our business had to pay for the office, right? So here's what we did. We utilized my business partner's policy, and we took a loan against it, and we paid for the 16 months. Now, again, our business needed to pay rent. It wasn't going to be given a free ride, but here's what it did. The business for the first 16 months paid back my business partner, paid off his loan. Now, what's beautiful about this, being a non-direct recognition, which I've discussed already, his entire value was still earning the full dividends. He didn't lose the ability to earn on this money while we leveraged it. Now, at month 17, our business did not have a rent payment, nor did we at month 18. What we could have done is we could have directed those rents in order to create some additional capital if we chose to help us with our next office space we were upgrading. But that wasn't the plan. The plan was that this money went to my business partner. That was the investment that we implemented by leveraging an expense. So here's what it meant to him. He got 2 months return out of an 18-month period of time, which is 1/9, which is an 11% return, minus a little bit of loan cost, but that wasn't very much. It was only an 18-month period of time. He got an 11% return on his money without any fees by simply leveraging an expense. Now, could we have done this in, I've had someone say, well, Kelly, you could do that in a bank account. I'm like, well, you're right, or another type of investment. You're absolutely right. If we had this money sitting in some brokerage account, or if he did, he wouldn't have leveraged it. He would have withdrawn it, and we could have paid this expense, and then the business could have paid back, and yes, he would have had the 2 extra months there. But the key is he would have lost the ability to earn on that portion we had to withdraw to pay the 16-month expense. Now, does that make him a millionaire over this one opportunity? No. But over time, over the period of climbing that mountain and looking for all the different opportunities that exist over 25, 30, 40 years as we're climbing, that makes a humongous difference. And to get him up to here with all the money he needs, and good luck trying to compete against that return. So when we are considering the rate of return comparisons, there's other factors. We got to look at what kind of capital equivalent value must we attain because of the safe withdrawal rate in order to compete against the insurance. Then we have to look at the opportunities that exist for us to leverage and collateralize our money for unique opportunities that exist other than just putting it out and taking risk. Now, I know you know this already, but I have that special code within the audio book that you can utilize to get on my calendar, and it waives the $500 application fee. I'd highly recommend you do that. I want to make sure I'm providing value for you for the fact that you've dug in. So when it comes time to do that, use that code, get on my calendar. I really look forward to the opportunity to meet with you.